It's going to be a tight-lipped Wednesday episode of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast because right now the chase for the Stanley Cup is very much on. We're taking no prisoners, breaking down what happened to the Bolts, Stars and Knights set for Game 7 battle, and the Oilers with the Kings on the brink. Let's get right to it.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy hump day, everybody, and welcome back inside the lab to the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. I am joined, as always, by my esteemed co-host, Mr. Steele Rodin. And on this side of the microphone, it's your boy, Big Flip Livingstone. Shout out to the everydayers holding us down, making us your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Steele, we got to get to the Bolts. Tampa Bay Lightning bounced in 5 games. Very neat and tidily. I don't know if tidily is a word, but that's what the Florida Panthers just did to a very good Bolts team. We'll talk about it briefly because you and I have a lot more to get to all the rest of the week, and we are here 5 days a week until that cup is lifted. But we got to talk about the Stars and Knights. I have in that graphic, by the way, if you're not peeping that graphic, go over to YouTube, smash that subscribe button. I really do feel like that's a Game 7 type battle in the making. The Stars even it up. We head into Game 5 Wednesday night. We'll talk about it. Oilers, Kings. I want your take on this, Steele. You and I haven't talked too much in detail about the Oilers and the Kings. We'll do that as well. We'll hit a little Wednesday betting breakdown as always, my friend. Turning it right over to you. Let's start quickly with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and maybe let's focus, if you're all right. Actually, go any way you want, but just seeing how Steven Stamkos was at the end of that series, taking it all in. I don't know if you saw those clips, sitting on the ice for a prolonged period of time. It kind of feels like we might be seeing a small changing of the guard in Tampa Bay, but maybe that's just me. I don't know. Maybe they bring him back and run it all the way back. Who knows?
I don't think it is a changing of the guard, and it did look like there was a lot of emotion on Steven Stamkos. I think he was more just waiting for the entire team to get off the ice before the captain left to be that final player, and what a classy move from Steven Stamkos. So I think it was more of that, and even in the post-game conference, there was questions about what his future was going to be with, they were asking John Cooper, they were asking Steven Stamkos, and John Cooper said himself, I see him as a Bolt for life, and that's most likely what I see him being as well. And even Steven Stamkos said that it's never crossed his mind that was his last game as a Tampa Bay Lightning. So I think they'll find a way to get a deal done. He's 34 years old. It's the last year of his $8.5 million contract. I think he probably won't be making that kind of money over the next contract that he gets with them, but maybe a team-friendly deal to get them back in a position where they can set them up for success in the future. So that's number one, is the classiness of Steven Stamkos, the captain. He
scored 40 goals this year, Steele. It's going to be hard for him to fit into this mold if he's going to be worth all that money. That's all I wanted to kind of poke the bear a little bit. That's all.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to be asking for 8.5. Again, he's 34 years old. I think Tampa Bay knows where, again, 40 goal scorers, very hard to come by. But I think they know where he's at in his career right now. And he's not going to get a long-term contract, but it would be very interesting what the number AAV will be for Steven Stamkos. So two things I want to say before I throw it back over to you. Number one, or number two, I guess, is it was absolutely incredible to see Mikhail Sergachev back on the ice. I mean, just, what was it, 2 months ago? Not even, maybe, where he broke his leg, broke his tibia.
Just
back
about
on the ice. He plays 1 or 2 games in the postseason. So incredible storyline. And he himself said that Steven Stamkos helped him a lot through that process because,
of course,
going back with his history, breaking his own leg, a long time ago. So just wanted to give a shout out to Mikhail Sergachev just getting back on the ice for playoff hockey. And number 3, before I hand it back over to you, was
now you got more points, Steele. Holy, here we go.
Hey, I just gotta say, along with my decision to take the Islanders, I'm not quite sure why I decided. I'm thinking to myself, why did I go with the Tampa Bay Lightning?
We both had Tampa, so
we both had Tampa at 6, and just looking back at it, it's easier to said in hindsight, but the Florida Panthers team is now This team is built for the playoffs. They're the stronger team. They showed us that year. I don't know why I believe the Tampa Bay Lightning. I picked too many upsets in the first round. That's all I had to say. I should have gone with Florida, like you probably should have as well. But I'll hand it back over to you.
As always, so many different angles to cover, which we'll continue to do on today's episode and which we'll continue to do Monday through Friday throughout the playoffs. We're going to get to the Stars, Knights, Oilers, Kings, Wednesday's betting breakdown. Look, Steven Stamkos has earned the reputation as a leader's leader. So number one, spot on. The core here is also not like completely over the hill in any sense of the imagination, Steele. Sergachev's 25. Braden Point, I think he's 26, 27 years old. Kucherov's not even 30. All these guys, me in ages, aside from Victor Hedman,
I'll get them up right now.
All the important pieces on this team are south of 30. So I don't think it's time for a changing of the guard in terms of this team can't get it done. I just that there was
Braden Point.
Steven Stamkos this year on and off the ice in terms of the rumored rift between the team and himself, contract. He has a really good year. How does he fit in as the outlier? Because when you bring it with that 40-goal quality that you mentioned, Steele, you kind of precipitate your own payment schedule, if you get me.
Yeah.
Now, the schedule for the next take is, thank goodness me, those Dallas Stars responded, Steele, because from my side of the microphone and camera, there has been quite a bit of talk about this Dallas Stars team as one that is very much for real. And I think you can at least back me up on this. Those 2 victories on the road. By the way, the road team has won every single game through the first 4 games. That's a little bit wild right there. The Dallas Stars respond. This is a physical series. Bone-crunching hits all over the ice. I talked about this first round be a little bit underwhelming, and here comes the Vegas-Dallas series, ready to resurrect all of my takes from the Boneyard, Steele, because that's exactly what's happening. These guys are throwing their weight around. Dallas has responded. Hit me with your take here, because I got a player double-circled that I think I've talked about before.
Yeah, and this is the only series that's tied at 2 apiece. Every other series went 4-0 or 3-1 or already eliminated. So
Correct.
This has been the best series to watch. It's been tough to watch on the East Coast, very late games, but we're catching all the highlights. We're catching as much as we can. And I'll let you talk about the Dallas Stars because I want to talk about the Vegas Golden Knights. I'll talk about my team. You talk about your team.
Hey, now.
2 things, though. My X factor in William Karlsson has been very disappointing. 0 points in 4 games. I thought he would be a lot better. He's dominated. He's shown that he plays very well against the Dallas Stars. So that's number 1 for me. I think the depth scoring right now for the Vegas Golden Knights has been a little bit underwhelming from what I've seen. I would like to see a little bit more from those guys, like Chandler Stevenson, like Anthony Mantha, like William Karlsson.
I think they healthy scratched Anthony Mantha the other night, too. I don't know if I thought it was real or not, but
he's only played 3 games, so he hasn't been in there for all 4. He was healthy scratch, so I want to see a little bit more from the depth scoring right now. Number two, before I give it back over to you, the Dallas Stars are very, very fortunate to be tied up in this series right now. They had 2 very lucky goals in game 4. One that went through the legs of a defenseman and off the face mask of Logan Thompson from the weirdest angle ever. And then there's the Ty Dellandrea goal went right off his chest. Hey, go hard to the net. That's what you got to do. But right off his chest. And so I think the Dallas Stars, again, very good series, but fortunate to be tied at 2 apiece right now. And then, finally, Logan Thompson has been absolutely incredible. He has been unreal so far in this series.
I don't know why I don't think we should be surprised at all that the Vegas depth, especially in goaltending, is stacking up once again. I think what's very intriguing and kind of funny here, Steele, is you went right to it, is the Ty Dellandreas of the world. Craig Smith and him draw in. Radek Faksa and Mason Marchment are out. These are those angles that in the postseason they happen. Guys who really have been in and out of the lineup all season long, and Dellandrea come in and, hey, he takes one off the body. It's not pretty, but he was a difference maker, and that still counts as a game-winning goal, Steele. Not a whole lot of players in the NHL career can say that they have postseason game-winning goals. He has one, and I just wanted to throw out another little interesting tidbit because sometimes these stories kind of permeate the whole playoffs, and they make a bit of a difference. And Della Andrea is living at Jake Ottinger's house is what I wanted to get to. And he's been, honestly, Steele, he's been a healthy scratch a lot of the season as well. So now, look, next man up, Faxa, Marchment out. Craig Smith and him draw in. They both make a difference. This is what the playoffs are about. We'll continue to talk about this series right around the break. We thought it was going to be short and sweet. We're going to try and do that as we always get you in and out in 30 minutes with all of the NHL news that you need. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style. eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash, baby. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge W's. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to our U.S. customers.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Make sure you go check out Locked On NFL Mock Draft. It is available now. Find the ultimate 6-episode series on Locked On NFL Draft to hear who the local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL franchise, with live reactions from local college football experts and even the fantasy football angle. The Locked On NFL Mock Draft is available now on Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in for today's episode with Flip and I. Continue to hit the subscribe, the follow button, leave a 5-star review. We appreciate all that love and support you show us Monday to Friday. Flip, before I throw it back over to you to finish your point about the Dallas Stars, I did want to mention this. The most unlikely of heroes, the most unlikely of X factors in this Vegas Stars series so far has been Brayden McNabb. 2 goals, 2 assists, a +4, and 1 game-winning goal. He actually he's second in leading Vegas with points so far. So they're getting some great offense from unlikely heroes like Brayden McNabb, Noah Hannafin on the blue line. So I had to throw him out there because I'm very surprised to see the output that he's putting up in this first round series.
Love you highlighting that. I think that goes in the same vein as my Della Andrea point.
Yeah.
You know, we looked at some of these lopsided series and kind of the obvious are happening. The Brad Marchands of the world, you know, the stars of these teams, no pun intended, are really carrying their clubs. You know, look at Zibanejad. Look at all of these guys getting it done for their teams who are punching their ticket through in a very neat and tidy fashion. Most of the time in the playoffs, Steele, you got to get nitty gritty, and you're going to have to get some of these big performances out of unsung X factor type players. And that's, I think, what you're going to see in this series between two teams so evenly matched. Oh my goodness me. Could you not see the Stanley Cup winner coming out of this series, Steele? That's not a bold take. Wyatt Johnston. Oh my goodness. A good Toronto boy, a 23rd overall draft pick, Steele, one in which, hey, I come on here and I talk about a lot of the players that I like on repeat. Give me a little bit of love. Couple of stick taps for Wyatt Johnston, someone who you've been on as well. I'm not trying to say this is like fool's gold. I'm not the only one ever. You and I were both on this player early. He has 3 game-winning postseason goals in his NHL career already. He's only 20 years old, and he only has 23 postseason games under his belt. He has 7 goals and 10 points in that time. He is stepping up in the biggest stage. If this player continues to score at this rate, Steele, I'm ready to say that he is going to be a player that might squeak into a future Canadian Olympic team lineup. And I know that's a bold take, but I'm starting to look at this kid. If he's going to be rolling around for that next Olympics and he keeps scoring like this, why not? Because my goodness me, I'm really liking this kid's game.
There is a lot of great Canadians in the NHL, and if he continues on this trajectory, I could definitely see him being on a Team Canada in the future.
4th line, maybe?
He's absolutely killing it. He's an overtime juggernaut for the Dallas Stars. He loves going short side top corner, and he picks it every single time. He's got a very underrated shot for such a young player.
Agreed.
And I love the trajectory of all these young guys in Dallas right now. And
Thank you.
it is absolutely incredible seeing them produce right now and on the biggest stage right now in the postseason against one of the toughest teams in the Vegas Golden Knights. So, hey, it's a 2-2 series. It's going to game 5, back to Dallas. We both predicted it's going 7 games. Maybe not 7 games for this series, though. The Oilers up 3-1 against the LA Kings. Stuart Skinner gets his first playoff shutout of his career. 1-0 win for the Edmonton Oilers. Very surprising to see the high-scoring games in the first 3, and then just a 1-0 game in game 4. So I'll throw it over to you. I know you got you got some things you want to get off your chest, some things you want to talk about from this Edmonton club, but I mean, it's been a crazy first round.
Takes aplenty, Steele. Number one, it's very interesting that this Edmonton Oilers team is kind of rolled into the postseason, obviously as one that offense is first, and a team that you and I and everyone out there who knows anything about hockey, that this team hangs its hat on that offensive end, and the defensive end has been a problem. However, not only are they outscoring the LA Kings in this series 18-10, and oh yeah, I double-checked that number. I also double-checked this. The LA Kings have 0 power play goals through 9 chances. The penalty kill for the Edmonton Oilers has been suffocating. And coming into this series, I think everyone could have pegged that they were the 4th best power play team coming into the playoffs. That was one of the angles we expected. The penalty kill and the defense being this good. Not even going to talk about Stuart Skinner because, yeah, 1 shutout is awesome. But if his defense and his penalty kill is doing their thing like they are right now, Steele, he might just have to be average or just above to get this team where they need to go. Is that shutout huge? Most definitely. Can he continue to improve? For sure. But did we expect the Edmonton Oilers to be this good defensively? This is now where teams will round into form. I don't know out west, Steele. Things are about to get real intense because I think I'm with you. This series is cooked.
And that's what we've seen a lot of in every single series so far. Even going back to the Tampa Bay Lightning series with the Florida Panthers, they were terrible on the power play. One of the best regular season power plays in the league coming into the playoffs. They just absolutely did nothing against the Florida Panthers. Same can be said against for the Toronto Maple Leafs in their series. Same can be said for the LA Kings in this series right now. So, and the New York Islanders too. All of those teams down 3-1 or 4-1 already eliminated. So we're seeing that the special teams, especially the power play, if it's not clicking, it's not going to work, and you're going to have trouble moving on to the second round. So right now, LA Kings they definitely need to figure something out on special teams, but we knew this was going to be the case because 2 years we've seen the LA Kings not be able to get past the Edmonton Oilers in the first round. This is their 3rd year. They're down 3-1. It seems to be the same story for the LA Kings. It seems to be hopefully the same song and dance. Same song and dance for a lot of these teams going up against rivals from their division. So that seems to be the case. We're going to get over to big time bets. Flip, you have anything left to say about this series, or you want to get over to big time bets?
Let me just say it right after the break. I just have one more take. It'll be very short and sweet. We'll wrap up with bets, and we'll be back on Thursday's episode.
Absolutely love that. Before we get to big time bets and the rest of that series, this episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. We've all been there either as a player or a fan. It's halftime and the scoreboard, it's not looking so good. You're feeling low, not sure you or your team can pull out a win. That's when you dig deep, lift your head up, and say to yourself, time to get back in the game, pull off some bank heists, and take as much money of my friends' money as I possibly can. That's right. The smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's the Monopoly you love, but on your phone, anytime, with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies. And there's just so much to do. Play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards. Make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball. Charge other players rent for your iconic properties. You can even work with your friends to crack open community chests and in tournaments to get extra rewards and climb the leaderboard. So get back out there, put your game face on, and download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. Once again, thank you so much for Tuning in for today's episode of the Locked On Podcast with Flip and I. Continue to hit the subscribe, the follow button, leave a 5-star review. We appreciate all that love and support. We are going to get to big time bets very, very shortly, but Flip, your last point on the Oilers-Kings series.
It's somewhat twofold, Steele, but it's quick. David Riddick steps into this series. What are the LA Kings going to actually do if somehow they get through the Edmonton Oilers? I made this point a little bit about Semyon Varlamov, but that actually is a goaltender that has much more quality, in my opinion, than David Riddick. And this is no disrespect to David Riddick, but also credit due to an LA Kings team. I think he only saw 13 or 14 shots on net in Game 4. So is this LA Kings team completely cooked? No, it's not. But when you have your game plan coming into the series, and this goes back to special teams, the Edmonton Oilers were only 15th on the penalty kill this regular season. So you're kind of thinking with the LA Kings firepower, that would have been an area that you can kind of exploit. And when you're not, Steele, your goose is cooked. So I alluded to that, and I just needed to put a bow on that point. Let me wrap it up with, my first bet of Wednesday night, Vegas at Dallas. This one's going under again. And I'm going to tease it up to 6.5 just to cop out a bit. But I'm going to put it into my favorite parlay because I'm worried about that little empty netter, which if you tease it up to 6.5 in Game 4, that would have saved your bacon. So we're going to do 6.5 on the under. This is going to be a grind, Steele, for the rest of it, how we alluded to, and it's going to start with Game 5. So hit me with the under 6.5. I think we can both agree on that one, though.
Yeah, that's my first pick as well. Night Stars under 6.5. Every single game has had a total different 4, 5, 6, and 7. I am also teasing it up to under 6.5 in this matchup. But like I said, as my for this playoff series before it started, for my best bets, take the under 6.5 as much as possible. So I'm continuing. I'm liking that with you right there, under 6.5. I'm also doing the Jack Eichel anytime goal in Game 5. 3 goals, 6 points.
The old
faithful. Jack Eichel, the old faithful Jack Eichel anytime goal. He's got 3 goals, 6 points in this series so far. So I'm combining those two from that one game, and then my lock of the night. I'm a little confused. You said they're cooked. They might not be cooked. The Kings are cooked. Oilers money
Everybody's
line.
cooked, Steele. I'm just throwing it out.
Yeah. Oilers money line for my lock of the night. They're going to wrap up this series in 5. They're going to wait to see what happens with the Predators and Vancouver Canucks. Maybe the Canucks win in 5 as well, and they have that matchup locked up already, but Oilers money line for my lock.
Absolutely love that, Steele, because guess what?
Oilers
money line, my lock of the night, along with Connor McDavid anytime assist. Those are the picks. Those are the winners. Connor McDavid has an assist in every single game this series. And he had 5 of them in Game 1 if you weren't watching. You might have to actually cop out and take him over 1.5. I don't know how I'd feel about that, depending on the odd. I might just stay low and juicy with those 3 in a parlay. Tease it to under 6.5 in the Vegas Dallas. McDavid anytime assist, just 1. Oilers money line. The more that I say that out loud, the more that I say hammer all 3 of those together, and thanks Steele and I later. Steele, I'm excited for the rest of this series. I'm excited for the rest of this week. And regardless of what happens with our Leafs, I'm excited for the rest of the postseason.
I'm excited for the rest of the postseason. We each have an under, we each have a player prop, and we each have a money line going into Wednesday night. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Once again, go check out Locked On Sports today. They've launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. You can also find it on the free Amazon Fire TV channel app. They are here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus the national shows covering every single league. So make sure you go subscribe to that channel, subscribe to this channel. And once again, thank you so much for tuning in for today's episode with Flip and I. Have a great day. Good luck with all your bets out there, and we shall see you back here again tomorrow.